Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom and welcome to today's Daf Yomi, NIDAH Mem Hey. Amar Aleph, a couple of lines from the top. Pachais Mikan K'neisen Etzba B'ayin. The Mishnah mentioned that Tashmish with an Isha who is less than 3 years old is not considered a proper Ma'asabiyah. It is compared to one who merely pokes his finger into his eye, which is only a temporary phenomenon. It doesn't have any permanent lasting effect. Iboilu, Frekti Gemara Akshayla. Hani Besulim. We know that an Isha has a membrane called Besulim, which gets damaged during the Ma'asabiyah and produces dam. Now the fact that an Isha who is less than 3 years old is not considered a Ma'asabiyah would seem to indicate that her Besulim aren't fully developed. Frekti Gemara Shayla. These Besulim of an Isha who is less than 3 years old, Mezel Azli Va'asu, do they go and come? Meaning they're present, they're there. Theoretically, they would produce dam if they were damaged. However, they're so flexible that they can go and then come back and they regrow. Oidilma Itsudi Hudelemitzi Ad La'achar Gimel. Or perhaps they're not fully developed and they do not get captured. Itsudi is a lashon of tzeda. They do not get captured, meaning they do not get damaged and removed until she would be 3 years old. L'may nafkimina. What difference does it make? Kegoyin, for instance, Shabal B'Sech Gimel. If he was boil under less than 3 years old, umatzadam, and he found dam, ubal achar sholish v'loy matzadam. Then again, he went ahead and repeated after she was 3 years old. At this time, he did not find any dam. So the question remains like this: I amers mezel azli va'asu. On the tzad that the psulim are there and they do produce dam. However, they go and they come and they regrow later. So perhaps there wasn't enough time for the psulim to come back again. There was no time for them to regrow, and therefore there was no dam present the second time he was boil. Meaning the first time he was boil when she was under 3 years old, the dam that was produced was actually dam besulim. But being that the besulim weren't fully developed yet, they disappeared and then they regrew later. They were about to regrow, but they didn't have enough time. They didn't have enough time to come back, since he kept on being boil, as Rashi says. But if you say that they're never fully developed until after she's 3 years old, and therefore the fact that he's being boil after 3 years old is an indication that somebody else was mizana with her, because the first vila before she turned 3 would not have removed the psulim, since they weren't fully developed, according to this side of the Gemara. So the Gemara, according to the tzad of Eloi Mitzadi Allah Achar Gimel, Ha Acher Bo Aleha, the fact that there is an absence of dam when he is boiled after 3 would indicate that there was a znosir. Mai. So what is the conclusion? So again, the Gemara is a shaila by an isha who is less than 3 years old, whose psulim are not fully developed. The question remains: what does that mean? They don't produce any dam, or they do produce dam, but they will go and come back and regrow later. They have the ability to regrow. And the question is, in a case where he was boil before Gimel, he found dam. Evidently that came from the psulim. But then he went ahead again and repeated after Sholish, after she turned 3 years old, and he did not find any dam. The question remains, according to the tzad of Mezel Azli Va'asu, you would assume that they simply hadn't had a chance to grow back. But according to the tzad of Tzudi Loi Mitzah, that they don't get removed to begin with, if it's under 3 years old. So meaning the fact that there's no besulim now cannot be a result of his first be'ilah. That wouldn't have done anything to the besulim, but rather is an indication that she was mizana. Maskefler Rav Chia Breder Avika. Uman lei malon. Who says the ma'aka shabatech gimel eine chazeres la'alter? You're making an assumption. You're saying that according to the tzad, a mezil azli va'asu, although they got damaged and they have the ability to come back, however, there wasn't enough time to give them a chance to grow back. So therefore, it's not a siman of znus. Who says maybe they're meant to come back immediately? And the fact that they weren't present during the second vila would indicate that there was a znus. Otherwise, they should have been present, since they grow back very quickly. Perhaps they come back immediately. In this case, that he did not find any dam besulim acher bo'aleh, it would be a siman. It would be a raya that somebody else was mazana with her. So therefore, in this aforementioned case, there is no nafkemina between both svaras. Ella, but will present a different case which in that case there will be a nafkamina between the two tzadim. Nafkamina, what is the difference? He was bayil when she was younger than 3, umatzadam, and he did find dam. Then uba la'achar gimel umatzadam. So in both cases he found dam. There was dam present during his be'ilah before 3, as well as his be'ilah of la'achar gimel. Now the question is, amris mezel azli va'asu, if the truth of the matter is that there is basulim, but they go and come high dam basulim hu. So even before 3 years old, her basulim would produce dam when damaged, because they're there. They're not there to the extent that they get removed completely, but they're there to a certain extent that when they do get damaged, they produce dam. According to the tzad, that the psulim aren't really fully present until much later. Hi, dam nidahu. It can't be that the dam that she experienced before shalish was originating in the psulim, since they're not fully developed. The fact that there was dam is an indication of dam nidah, and she is tameh. So we have a clear, solid nafkamina between the two tzadim. He found dam when he was bayil kaidem gimel. If the psulim are not fully, according to the tzad, that the psulim are not fully developed and don't produce dam, evidently this is dam nidah. According to the other tzad, that there are psulim, and they do get damaged, and they do produce dam, but they have the ability to come back. So in this case, we can rightfully assume that the dam was dam basulim, and she is tar. So what is the halacha? What is the conclusion on this shaila? Amar of Chiza Tashma. Pachis mekan. It said in the Mishnah, less than 3 years old. Kinois and etzra b'ayin. It's as if he poked his finger into his eye. Lamed li lemisni kinois and etzra b'ayin. Why does the Mishnah have to give this mashal that it is daimah, it is similar to a person poking his finger into his eye? What is the point of this analogy? Lisni pachis mekan v'lei klum. The Mishnah should state very briefly, less than 3 years old is not considered, does not have any significance. My love must be hakamash malan. The Mishnah is informing us a chiddush. Ma'ayin medamas. Just like an eye, when you poke it, it tears. V'chayzar some damas, and then it returns to its former state and will tear again the next time. Af pesulin. So too, by the case of the pesulim, mezel azli, they go v'asu and they come back. So the point of this comparison is to teach us this very halacha, that the pesulim of an isha who is less than 3, they're there. They can produce them, but they can return to their former state even after they were removed. So in the case that we mentioned earlier, when there was a bi'ila kaidem gimel which produced dam, we can certainly assume that this dam was dam basulim. So let's make a quick review of the Gemara. A isha who is less than 3 years old does not have a din of ma'aseh bia. The Gemara has a shaila. What does that mean? Does that mean that the psulim aren't there to the extent that they will not get damaged by the ma'aseh bia? Oh yes, they're there, but they can go and come back a bit later. And the nafkamina is whether, in a case where he was bayil when she was less than 3 years old and he did find dam, can we assume that the dam is dam basulim or not? According to the tzad, that the basulim are there, they are developed, and they do produce dam. However, they can go, they have the ability to go and to regrow. So in this case, we can rightfully assume that the dam is coming from the dam basulim. However, according to the tzad, that the basulim are not fully developed, it's sudid lemitzid, meaning that the ma'aseh bia will not damage those basulim since they're not fully present, and therefore we have no reason to attribute the dam to basulim, and she is anida. Zok the Gemara weiter. Tana Rabbanon. Maaseh b'Yustini. There was a woman named Yustini. Bitoy shel Asviris ben Antonidas. She's a granddaughter of Antonidas, who we all know was an acquaintance of Rebbe. Shabbat of Rebbe. They had tremendous respect for him, and she came to ask him a shaila. Amar le Rebbe, Isha v'kamenisis. What is the minimal age for marriage? Amar lo bas gimel shanim yom echad. Like we know in the Torah, it is 3 years and a day. Obakama misaberes. What is the minimal age for becoming pregnant? Amar lo bas yudbei shanav yom echad. You need to have 12 years and a day. You need to be 12 years old to conceive. Amar lo. So she challenged him. She told him, Ani nasasi b'sheish. I married when I was 6. V'yolati b'sheva. And I actually gave birth a year later when I was 7 years old. According to what you're telling me, that the minimal age requirement for marriage is 3, why did I wait till I was 6? I lost 3 years of potential marriage in my father's home. So this was the end of this story. How do we know? How is that possible? What she's saying, that she was this Abra, she conceived when she was, and she gave birth when she was 7. Maybe Abra, is that so? There are 3 women that need to insert an absorbent cloth into the makam tashmish in order to absorb the zera, so to prevent her from becoming misaber. What are the three nashim? Ktana, mu'uberes, umenika. These are three nashim that there is a danger, there is a very important need to prevent her from becoming a mu'uberes, and therefore she needs to prevent that. Why is that so? Zok the Gemara like this. Let's go through the list. Ktana, shematis abar v'tamus. If she conceives, she may die, therefore it is sakana, and she must prevent that. Mu'uberes, if she is expecting, shematase ubara sandal. When an isha is mu'uberes, and then she conceives again, there is a danger to the first fetus. The second conception could cause that the latecomer will actually will crush the first ubar and make him into a sandal, which is a term used for a crushed piece of flesh, meaning that he will damage the first child, and therefore it's sakana for him. So here it's not a sakana for the isha, but rather for the ubar. What is the third case? Menika, somebody who is nursing. She too needs to prevent herself from conceiving. Shema tigmal esbana v'yamus. Because when an isha becomes mu'uberes, her milk becomes not so suitable for nursing, and therefore she will have to wean the nursing child away and stop nursing him, and it is, unhealthy for the child to stop nursing. Therefore, she needs to insert a cloth and prevent herself from becoming mu'uberes. Continues the Gemara, ve'ezo hiktana. What is the ktana that we're speaking about? What age are we speaking about? Mibas yud aleph shana v'yom echad v'ad yud beis shana v'yom echad. We are speaking strictly about a time frame from 11 to 12, meaning the year from 11 in a day until 12 in a day, when she is what we call 11 years old. That is the time period that we're concerned here, and that is the case that the Braisa mentions regarding a ktana needing to put a moich ba'isai makeh. Why is that so? Why are we speaking about such a narrow window? Less than 11 or past 12, it's not a problem. Why is that so? Because under 11, there is no possibility of becoming mu'uberes. Therefore, the tashmish doesn't pose any danger. And after 12, she's already mature enough to conceive and to give birth properly. Divrei Rameya. These are the words of Rameya. All these cases, an ordinary woman, aktana, umuberes, umenika, mishameshes, kedarak, v'yolechas, they're mishamish in ordinary fashion. Umin hashamayim yirachmu. Hashem will have rachmanas adem. Shenemar, sheimer, pesoyim Hashem. Hashem watches those that are simple. The Chachamim maintain that it is not a strong enough, it is not an immediate enough risk to obligate or to permit her from putting a moich ba'isa makim to prevent conception, but rather she should continue living in a normal manner, and Hashem will watch over her. It's very interesting. Rav Moshe Feinstein asks a shaila: how is it possible that the Chachamim should suggest that a person should put himself in a sakana, in a danger, whether it's for herself or for her ubar, and rely merely on heavenly rachmanis without having to do any ishtadlus to that effect? And he says a very interesting, a novel concept, that the tashmish of an ish li'ishta is an obligation. It's an integral obligation of the marriage, and therefore, being that this is a accepted, ordinary, accepted, normal behavior, it's nothing abnormal about this. Quite the contrary, this is a very integral part of the chiyuvim of ish li'ishta, and we're dealing with a remote risk. We're not dealing with something which is absolute. Therefore, the Chachamim maintain that the concept of Shemer P'sayim Hashem will apply in this case. I've heard a similar concept regarding driving in a car. We all know the danger involved in car driving. However, since it is acceptable behavior, it is nothing abnormal, dangerous, considered dangerous. It is a regular mode of life. So although it does carry with it some sort of related risk, the concept of Shemer B'sam Hashem will apply, since it is a necessary and accepted behavior for a person to go about doing his daily business. Zok the Gemara weiter. If you recall, we just had a kasha, because the Gemara before said that the Bitoi, the granddaughter of Antoninus, came to Rebbe, and she told him that I was in Saber when I was young, when I was merely 7 years old. And we have a contradiction from the Brisa, which states very clearly that the only possibility of Ibur is when she turns 11. Before that, there is no phenomenon of becoming a Saber. That would seem to contradict the story of Justina. So the Gemara, one teretz, they have flesh of a donkey, meaning you can't bring a proof from a guy. A guy's body works differently. They have a totally different system, and therefore we can't compare it to the halachas of Torah, which pertains to a Yisrael. Their mouth speaks false. Of Yaminam, Yamin Shaker, and their hand is a hand of Sheker, meaning that we can't take anything a guy says at face value. We simply don't believe that that's what happened. We maintain that the halacha said in the Torah remains intact, that unless she is 11 years old, there is no Ibur going to take place. So in conclusion, the Gemara gives us the chiddush here about the nashim that are mishamshes b'mayich, according to Rav Meir. According to Chachamim, there is no such halacha, but rather shomer b'sayim Hashem. And the Gemara concludes that, of course, the halacha mentioned, that Rebbe mentioned earlier, holds true, that an isha, until she's 11, will not become nesaber. On 11 and on, she will, but for that year, between 11 and 12, there is an inherent danger for the isha, for her to become nesaber. And after that, past that period, she could become nesaber and give birth in a healthy manner. Tanu Rabbanan, Zok the Brais, Ma Sabi Isha Achas. There was a story of an Isha Shabbos of Nei Rekiva. She approached Rekiva, Amrullah, she told him, Rebbe, Niv Alti B'tech Shalish Shanim, Ma Ani L'Kuhuna. I had znus before I turned 3 years old. And Tesis explains, we're speaking about a fellow who was a puzzle, for instance, a mamzer, etc. He puzzled her, and he was Ba'aleha. The question is whether she becomes unfit for kahuna. Amr la ksherat lekahuna, being that you were so young, there is no psul, and you're still kosher for kahuna. Amr la, so she told him, Rebbe, emshulcha mashal. Let me give you a mashal. Lama hadavar daima. For what is my experience similar to? Latinaik shetamnu loy etzboy bedvash. A child whose finger was dipped into honey. Pam rishaynu shniya. When you do it to him once or twice, goyerbem. He protests. What are you doing to my finger? What is this sticky substance here? Shlishis. You do it a third time, he gets accustomed to it, and he starts exploring. Matzatza. He will suck it, and it will taste very good. He'll be very pleased with the honey on his finger. So therefore, in this case, she was saying to Rebbe, I have had a very extensive experience with znus. Does that change my status? If so, if that is the case, then indeed you are puzzled for a kain. Rekiva noticed the Talmidim were looking at each other with a puzzled expression. Amar lahem, he told them, Lama hadavar kasha b'einechem. Why are you so surprised? Is there something wrong with what I said? That the Isha who had extensive znus experience is pasal kahuna? Just like the whole Torah in its entirety was presented to Moshe at Sinai, so too this halacha that we're learning today, the halacha that an Isha who is less than 3 years old who has znus, it does not constitute a proper ma'aseh biyah, and therefore halacha l'Moshe Sinai, the halacha is that she is kosher l'kahuna, she remains kosher. So why then, Rebbe, did you rule otherwise? And for the Gemara, v'afra Rav Akiva lo yamra. The only reason Rav Akiva said what he said, he didn't mean it seriously. Of course, the truth is that she remains kosher l'kahuna since she was less than 3 years old. The reason why he said it, Ella, only l'chadad ba'as hatalmidim. He wanted to gauge their reaction. He challenged them to sharpen their minds, and that was his whole intention. Of course, the halacha remains that an Isha who is less than 3 years old will not have biyah, will not have the status of a ma'aseh biyah, and therefore, even if she was nival to a pasala, she remains kosher to kahuna. So let's recap our sugya. the halacha of a bia by isha less than 3 years old does not constitute a ma'aseh bia, and has many a whole list of ramifications that the Mishnah mentioned. The Gemara today went into that. Let's understand what that means. Her psulim aren't fully developed, but does that mean they're still present and they will produce dam? And that was the conclusion of the Gemara. The fact that the Mishnah brings a mashal of a person poking his finger into his eye, evidently something happens, but it can restore itself to its former state. It does produce dam, however, it will regroup and come back after when she's 3 years old. And therefore, the dam that was present during the Be'ilah Koidim Gimel certainly could be attributed to the psulim and are considered dam psulim and she is tar. Then we went on to a sugya of a muberes. What is the minimal age requirement for muberes? The Gemara said she needs to be at least 11 years old. However, in that year, the 11th year, there is a sakana for her to become nisaber. It is only once she hits 12 that she can become nisaber and give birth properly. There was a machlekes between Rameh and the Rabbanon. What is one to do during a period when it is dangerous for a person to become pregnant? According to Rameh, there needs some preventative action to be done. According to Chachamim, that is not necessary since it is only a minor chashash. Zok the Gemara weiter. Ben teisha shanam v'yoymechad shebal yivimtoi. Now this Mishnah sort of parallels the previous Mishnah. What is the minimum age requirement by a boy, for his ma'aseh bia to be considered halachic ma'aseh bia? He needs to be at least 9 years and a day, meaning 9 years old. So ben teisha shanam v'yoymechad shebal yivimtoi, if he did be'ilah with his yivama, that is a person who was nifter, left no children, his wife is yivama and requires the mitzvah to be done. Mitzvah of Yibum needs to be done by a brother. If the brother is merely 9 years old, he can acquire this isha through bia. However, since he's only a katan, he cannot be megarisha with a get until he would grow up, become a gadol, and then he has the power to issue a get. Now Rashi explains the reason for this is that although he was kind of the yivama, but since the zika, the bond of the yivama, the obligation for Yibum stems from his brother's nisuim. It is the marriage of that brother that is bringing about the mitzvah sivum. So the nisuim of the young brother, of the ben teisha shanim, is sort of a carryover. It is a completion of the nisuim of the brother who was a gadol, and that nisuim was a nisuim min ha-Torah. That was a proper marriage since he was a gadol. However, this katan who is merely 9 years old does not have that power. There's a machlekes in Rishonim whether this is whether he has the power midaraisa or midrabanan to be miyavim and isha. However, it is still not as powerful as his brother's nesum, and therefore, even though he's being miyavim her, he cannot give a get. Means he can't pater her from her bond until he becomes a gadol, and then he has the power to issue a get. Umetame benida. If he is Baal Isha who is Tamei Nida, he will be Metame, he will become Tamei to the extent that he's Metame Mishkav Tachten Ke'elyoin, he's Metame what he sits on, Upaisel Ve'enoi Machel Betruma. And he can passel, he can disqualify an Isha if he is Baal, provided that he is one of those individuals who passels an Isha from Truma, or Kahuna. Rashi brings a list of a kusi, a mamzer. Yesterday Rashi discussed even a goy or an eved. In any case, we're speaking about specific individuals that if they are ba'ana isha, they are passing her, they disqualify her from kuhuna. Ve'eloi machel betruma. And a ben who is only 9 years old, he doesn't have the power to feed his wife truma, to enable her to eat truma, even though he's a kohen, and we mentioned earlier that he is being miyabim her to the fact that he is kohen her, but it is not a complete kinyan, and he cannot be, he does not enable her to eat truma. If he does nus with the behema, he disqualifies it from the mizbeach, and the behema gets skila on his account. One final halacha: if he does znus with any of those arayas, mumsan al yadai, since they are gedolim, they get misa. V'hu pater. However, since he is still a katan, true, he's 9 years old, and he does possess the ability to do a ma'aseh bia, but since he's under bar mitzvah, he will be pater. We've mentioned in the beginning of the Mishnah that a ben teisha shonim can be miyabem a yavama. He is kind of the yavama. However, regarding a get, he needs to wait until he's a gadol and he has the koyach to give her a proper get. Is it really sufficient to give her a get? V'atanya, we've learned asu bias bentes. The Chachamim gave the ma'aseh bia of a bentes the same status of kemamar begadol. Now we know yivama has a choice: either you do yibam or you do chalitza. There is no possibility, there's no option of kedushin, like by your ordinary isha, of kesef, giving her some money, shtar, writing a document, or bia. A yivama is strictly niskadesh, nisyabim through bia. However, the Chachamim said that if a person goes ahead and is mekadesh yivama with kesef or shtar, that does accomplish something. It is a minimal kinyan called mamar, which does not absolve her from her mitzvah yibum. You're still required to be miyabim her, to be ba'al. However, it does something. It makes a partial kinyan. So the Gemara goes ahead and says that Chacham equated a bia of a katan ben tes to the din of maimar. It is not a proper, complete kinyan, but merely has a status of a partial kinyan, dumya, similar to mamar. Mamar, just like mamar begadol. If a gadol does mamar to a yavama, tzarech get l'mamari. He's required to issue a get to address the mamar, which is similar to a kinyan kedushin, which needs a get. The chalitza is the cause. However, she is not absolved completely. She still needs chalitza to be done. Why is that? Since the mamar did not accomplish the full mitzvah sibum, she's still somewhat of a yavama. She's a partial yavama, and midaraisa she still needs chalitza. Since midaraisa nothing was done, so too in this case, av bias bentes tzorach get lemamor v'chalitza lizikasai. The bia of a bentes has the same status, and therefore would still require a chalitza, since it doesn't constitute a full-fledged ma'aseh yibum. So why does the Mishnah state that when he grows up, he gives her a get and she's pater? You would still need an additional chalitza to be done. Amarav hochei-comment. This is what the Mishnah means to say when he grows up and he becomes a gadol, v'yival, and then he does bia. Now, since he's already a gadol, so the bia is a proper ma'aseh bia, and it's considered a full-fledged ma'aseh yibum, and he's completely kind to her to the extent that she doesn't need chalitza anymore. Why would she require chalitza once she's nisyabim? V'yitin get. If at this point he wants to be megarisha, he will give her a get. The Mishnah weiter. Bas achases rishona v'yom echad nadarea nivdaken. Now we know that a ben or a bas, once they reach bar mitzvah, which is 12 years old by a bas and 13 by a ben, are considered full-fledged adults regarding the halachas of the Torah. Under that age, they are considered ktanim, and generally their maisim have the things that they do carry no halachic significance. There is one exception to the rule, which is regarding the darim, regarding being able to make a vow, regarding being magdir something, and taking truma. The Torah is mechadish to us that within a year of godless, meaning the year that's immediately preceding their bar mitzvah, they do have the ability to do these things, provided they understand, they recognize the consequence of what they're doing. Dr. Mishnah, Bas achas es rishon v'yom echad, when she turns 11 years old, meaning it is the year which is preceding her bas mitzvah, Nedareh nivdaken, we check, we examine her nedarim, and we see whether she understands what she's doing, and then they will have the halachic significance of a ma'aseh neder and will be binding. Bas shtemes rishon v'yom echad, once she turns bas mitzvah, she's 12 years old, Nedareh kayamen, her nedarim take hold, and they do not require any further bedika. Ubaitkin kol shtemes rishon. We baidik for the full 12th year, meaning what we said before, that once she turns 11 and a day, we're baidik. That goes on for the entire year, and the Gemara will explain exactly what this is referring to. Continues the Mishnah, the same halacha regarding a ben. Ben shtemes rishon v'yom echad nadarim nivdakin. Within a year of his godless, which is when he turns 12, his nadarim are nivdak. We examine his intention. Ben yud gimel shon v'yom echad, once he turns bar mitzvah, nadarim kayamin. Ubaitkin kol shalosh esrei. We need to examine the full 13th year, meaning the halacha that we're baidik when he's 12 years old goes on for the full entire year. Again, the Gemara will explain exactly the meaning of this phrase. Continues the Mishnah, before this period, meaning before 11 by a bas, before 12 by a ben, even if they say, they state, they announce, we understand what we're doing, we know exactly in whose name we were neider, what the significance of what we're doing is, it's halach and the Torah, we're following Hashem's halachas, we understand exactly what we're doing. Ein adreim neder ve'ein hekdesh and hekdesh, the neder nor the hekdesh do not take effect. After this time, meaning once they become bar mitzvah, even if they say, we don't understand what we're doing, it is not dependent on that. Their words carry a power and take effect regardless of their intention. So again, a summary of the halachas of the Mishnah. There are three periods in their life. There are three different categories. When they're ktanim, up until a year before their bar mitzvah, their words have no meaning whatsoever. During the year which is immediately preceding their bar mitzvah, that has carries a potential power of neder, provided they understand what they're doing. And after that, regardless of their intentions, their words do carry full weight as a gadol. The Gemara is going to analyze the phrases in the Mishnah. If we look back in the Mishnah, we have basically, by the bas, we have three parts. We have the halacha of 11 years old, which requires bedika. 12 years old, there's no bedika. And the Mishnah concludes that we are baidik the full 12th year. Once you already said in the opening statement of the Mishnah that once she turns 11 you are baidik, isn't it obvious? Isn't it obvious that after that, past that year, her nadarim fully take hold, without any need to be baidik? So why does the Mishnah have to go ahead and explain that to us? Lamali, why does the Mishnah have to go add that? And for the Gemara, I would think baitkin la'ilam, that the halacha which is stated in the beginning of the Mishnah, you need to be baidik, that goes on forever. It begins when she turns 11, but that continues forever. You always have to make sure to ascertain that they had the proper intentions. Kamash Malon, the Mishnah informs us that's not so. This halacha is only applied to that year only. Once they hit bar mitzvah, there is no need, no chiyuv to be baidik. And once you've stated the second clause, that once they turn bar mitzvah, the nidar makayam, if so, why do you need a third clause? Why is it required to go ahead and state that there is a chiyuv bedika on the full 12th year? Isn't it pretty obvious? We just said that when she turns 11, you need to be baidik. Why do you need to repeat that again? I would think to say, since there's a shita which says 30 days in a year have a significance of a year, so in a case where suppose she turned 11 and she made a neder, and we examined for the first 30 days, she didn't really understand what's coming off. She didn't know how to articulate. She didn't understand what she was doing. I would think to say, you don't need to carry on being baitik for the rest of the year. 30 days is a determination for the rest of the year. Once you've established that she doesn't understand what she's doing, the 30 days carry a significance of a full year, and the rest of the year she is excluded from doing a neder. Kamash Malan, the Mishnah informs us, no, you need to constantly be baidik the whole year. Perhaps in the middle of the year she got wiser and smarter, and therefore her neder will be chal now. You have to constantly check on the situation. So to conclude, we have three clauses in the Mishnah. The first statement is 11 years old and a day, you are baidik the nedarim. Next statement is 12 years old and a day, you don't need to make bedika. And the third and final clause is that you need to be baidik the full entire 12th year. For the Gemara, why is it necessary to list all these halachas? Look, once you know the second one and the third one, you already know the first one. Once you know that bas mitzvah is a full-fledged gedolah and doesn't require bedika, and then you go ahead and add to that there is bedika required during the full year preceding that, so you already know the halacha that there is a bedika in the year preceding bas mitzvah. Let it say just the last two things. That's clause number 2, and clause number 3. Why do you need to add the first halacha? Why then does the Mishnah have to add the first halacha? Isn't it included in the subsequent halachas? And for the Gemara, Itzrich, it is necessary. I would think the typical situation is that when she's 11 and a day, you need to do a bedika. Before that, a bedika is not required. We don't take anything into account. We don't give his words any significance. But perhaps there would be an exception in the following case. We see that she's exceptionally wise. Perhaps in that case, even prior to the age, even when she's under 11 a day, you would give her word significance and you would be baidik in order to validate her neder. Kamash malon. That's why the Mishnah has to start off with a statement 11 and a day and derean of daki, meaning anything before that, regardless of her intelligence level, does not constitute a neder. Continues the Gemara. Why does the Mishnah have to add afterwards? Before this time, meaning under 11, or past bar or bas mitzvah, have their own halachas. Meaning, you're not boidik. Even if they don't understand what they're doing, it doesn't matter. Once you're bar or bas mitzvah, you're nadar makayim. When you're younger than 11, even if you do understand what you're doing, the nadarim have no significance. Why is this necessary? Isn't it already included in the first part of the Mishnah? We know this already. I would think, it's only inu. When they're not initiating, when the child is not coming to us and telling us, look, I understand what's going on, I'm intelligent, I'm smart. Or in the reverse, the gadol is not coming to tell us, look, I don't understand what's going on, he's not volunteering that information, so then the yardstick of the Mishnah will apply. However, but if they would go ahead and volunteer that information to us, for instance, an 8-year-old comes and says, I understand exactly what's happening, perhaps that would be an exception. Or in the reverse, if a gadol will come and say, look, I don't understand anything what's going on here, perhaps that would be different and his nadarim would not carry any significance. Kamashma alon, Mishnah teaches us that is not so, that these dinim are absolute and apply to all cases. Something more right. Tanu Rabban, Elu Diver Rebbe. These ages, these numbers belong to the Shitas Rebbe, who holds that a Ketana becomes Bas Mitzvah when she's 12 and a Katan waits another year. Rav Shimon Elazar Eimer, Devar Ma'amurim B'tinaikes B'tinak Amurim. Shimon Elazar holds just the opposite, that a Katan becomes Bar Mitzvah when he's 12 and a Ketana when she is 13. So these numbers that we mentioned by a Tinaikes, by a girl, really they apply to Tinaik, B'tinak Amurim. Dvarim Amurim B'tinak, the age that was applied to a Tinak, which is 13, B'tinaikes Amurim, really should be applied to a Tinaikes. So our very interesting machlokes, what is the age of Bar Mitzvah? According to Rebbe, a girl at 12, a boy at 13. According to Rav Shimon Elazar, it's just the opposite. And of course, Rebbe Taisus points out that the halacha is like Rebbe, we paskin a girl at 12 and a boy at 13. Amar Rav Chizda, my time with Rebbe, what is the svara of Rebbe? That a girl precedes a boy by a year. The chsiv vayiven Hashem lekim es hatzela. Hashem built the side, and He created Chava. Malamed, we learn from the word vayiven, shenas nakadosh baruch hu bina yisera beisha yoyser beish. Hashem inserted and planted, added intelligence to an isha more than by an ish. Taisus Rosh says that this means that her bina yisera intelligence arrives earlier than an ish. I've seen other Mepharshim who say that an isha actually has a higher level of intelligence in the long term as well. An ish has an advantage that he has wisdom. Wisdom is generally acquired through knowledge. That is the maila, that is the nature of an ish who acquires, who studies, and he becomes a chacham. However, an isha's unique quality is the inyan of bina, that she has intuition, she has intelligence, and in that respect, she has a maila, she has an advantage over an ish, and therefore that comes earlier because wisdom, that requires acquisition, requires study, learning, that takes more time, and therefore takes longer to reach to that point, and his galus only arrives a year later. So that is the reason for Rebbe saying that a Ketana, a Bas is at 12, and a Ben is at 13. V'idach, what does Rav Shimon Elazar do with this pasuk? We need for a shlagish, Rav Shimon Nasya. Vayiven Hashem lekim es hatzela shalachach min adam leisha, vayivieha el adam. Hashem took the tzela that He took from the Adam and created an isha and brought her back to Adam Rishon. We learn from here, Malamed shekala HaKadosh Baruch Hu lechava, Hashem braided her hair, vevia etzel Adam, He beautified her to bring her to Adam Rishon. Shekain b'kar chayam, in some cities by the ocean, kairin lekal isa b'niyasa, they call braiding with the term b'niyasa, so it's referring to Hashem's beautification of Chava. Rav Shimon Elazar, my time, what is the reason for Rav Shimon Elazar's shita that a katan, that a ben reaches adulthood faster than a ketana? Since he is found by his Rebbe and he studies and he learns, according to Taisus, even if he doesn't have a Rebbe, but he goes in and out, he exposes himself more than an isha. Nechneses by armumis tchila, wisdom and sharpness enters him earlier than by an isha, and therefore his das is completed earlier, and he is bar mitzvah when he is 12 years old. Zok the Gemara, Iboilu, the Bnei Yeshiva had a shayla. We know that prior to 11, she's a ktana. Past 12, she's a gdoila. Now, a gdoila depends on two things, shanim and simanim. There needs to grow 2 pubic hairs in order to combine with the shanim to make her into a gdoila. However, during the 11th year, meaning when she's 11 and a day, that is called toich zman. That is a zman, like we said before, that the nedarim are nidak. It's like an interim, it's an in-between period between katnus and gadlus. So what is the status of the toich zman within this zman? Is it kilifnei zman or kilachas zman? Does it have the din of the time before? The lifnei zman is considered like the katnus, or is the kilachas zman is considered like the time following the time of gadlus? Now, what are we speaking about? What is the discussion about? Ila nedarim. If we're speaking about the halachas of nedarim, and we know that an isha abbas who is 11, meaning during that year of teichas man, it is simply dependent on bedika. If she understands, fine. If she doesn't understand what she's doing, then it is not a neder. And regardless of whether she has saris or not, even if she's really a ktana, the neder will have the halachic status of a neder depending on her ability to express and to understand what she's doing. Ila nedarim. If the halacha here is regarding the nedarim, then what is the shayla? Lav kilifnei zman damya, v'lav klachar zman damya. It has a status of its own. It's a period on its own. This year has its own halachic status. It depends on bedika. It is not connected to the time before, nor to the time after. Ella, we're speaking about la'onshin. We're speaking about punishing. Meaning, is he obligated like a gadol? Meaning, if he or she is a year before their adulthood age, meaning 11-year-old for Abbas, and she has shtei saris as well, is this considered like shtei saris of a gdoila? So it is considered as if she is a gdoila already. Since her saris arrived early, she has now already the din of a gdoila, and she is obligated and will receive punishment like a mature adult, or perhaps not. This is machlekes Ameroim. Rav Chanina Damir Tavayu. They both hold toich zman kilifnei zman. Within this time, has the din of lifnei zman. She's considered a ketana. Rabbi Yechon Shurman Levi Damir Tavayu. Toich zman kilachas zman. She's considered like a gdoila. Amar Nachum Yitzchak with Simanach. There's a simon in the pasuk with Zois lifnim b'Yisrael. This was done earlier by Yidden, and the Rem, as Rashi explains, is that the Torah puts the word of Vizayis, which denotes a Lashon Nekeva, which is similar to Rav Chanina, who is a name sounding like a Lashon Nekeva. Lefanim earlier, meaning Rav Chanina Shita, who holds that Toich Zman is Lefanim, as early as the din of Lifnei Azman. Mas Rav Amnuna, it says in the Mishnah, Achar Zman Hazeh, after this time period, after they become full-fledged doilim, Aval Bishamr, Eino Neyoidin L'shnei Minadarnu, L'shem Yigdashnu, Nideim Neder, V'gdeshim Hegdish. We don't have to need to check, regardless of whether they understand or don't understand what they're doing, their Neder and their Hegdish is Chal. So let's make a diak. That's only after the time, after they became doilim. Ha Toich Zman. But if it's still within this time, meaning it's still prior to Gadlus, the year preceding Gadlus, Lifnei Zman will have a din of Lifnei Azman, and they are Ketanim. So we have a raya to the Shita of Toich Zman, Lifnei Azman. Amalei Rava. So Rava responded, you're making a diak from those words in the Mishnah. You can make an opposite diak from the other words. Eimeresha, go back a step. Koidim, the Mishnah says Koidim Azman, before this time period, meaning when they are just Ketanim, then they're before 11 by a Ketana, they're full-fledged Ketanim. Ava Bisha Amr Yoidimanu L'Shemi Nadarnu L'Shemi Yigdashnu Ein Adreim Nedeb Ein Hegdeshim Hegdish. Doesn't mean anything, it's meaningless. So let's make a diak. That's difficult because they're full-fledged Ketanim. They're before the year that is preceding their Gadlus. But you can make a diak. It would sound from here, it implies Ha Toich Zman K'Lachas Zman, if they would be standing by that year of the year that is close to Gadlus, that would have a din of Lachar Zman. So you have a conflicting diuk in the Mishnah. One part of the Mishnah seems to imply that Toich Zman, within this time period, there is already a din of Lachar Zman, and one part of the Mishnah seems to imply the opposite. So you can't be medayik from the Mishnah. It's not so. Rava mistakenly thought that Rav Amnuna was making a diuk from the extra words, from the superfluous part of the Mishnah. Why did the Mishnah have to say Lachar Zman has a din, a full-fledged din of an Eder and Hegdish? Evidently, Mishnah is trying to teach us halacha dafka then, but Tayich Zman is not so. Rav Akatoi, he made a mistake. Savar Rav Hamnuna Mishni Seir Kedayik. Rav Hamnuna was coming to be medayik from the extra words of the Mishnah, that apparently Mishnah is coming to teach us halacha. And therefore he asked, Vadadayik Misayf Lidik Maresha. Just like you made a dik from the last part of the Mishnah, make a dik from the first statement of the Mishnah, part of the sentence. But it's not so. Rav Hamnuna Meguf at the Masnitzin Kedayik. Rav Hamnuna was being medayik, was inferring from the words, from the actual text of the Mishnah. Why? Because the Mishnah says, L'achar Zman, he is a full-fledged gadol. Evidently we're speaking about that he brought shtei saras, that he has 2 saras which together with the shanim combined to make him a gadol. Let's see inside. What are we speaking about? If he has no shtei saras, katanu. Years alone, shanim alone, the fact that he reached age 12 by ektana or 30 by ekdela will not constitute gadlus. You need to have shtei saras. Elalav, it must be the eisish saras. It's speaking about that he already has 2 saras. And combined with the fact that he's already a gadol in shanim, she's already 12 years old, including the saras. Therefore, there is a din of la'achar zman where their neder and hegdish have a full significance. But taima, and we infer from here, the reason is why are they considered full-fledged gedolim? La'achar zman, because they're already past bar mitzvah. Who the garmel milsa, they completed what they need. They completed their full requirements. They had their shtei saras, including, and plus they have their shanim. Hatayich Zman, but if you backtrack a step earlier, and you go back to the year preceding their bar mitzvah, even though they already possess shtei saras, kilifnei Zman, it is merely considered like pre-godless, and they will not have a din of a gadol or a gdoila. So that was Rav Hamnuna's diuk to prove that Tayich Zman, the year preceding godless, does not have a din of godless, but rather is considered like lifnei zman, and they are merely ktanim. So he had a riot to the machlekes in the Gemara, which is what is the status of Tayich Zman, the year preceding godless, and the conclusion is that there is a implication in the Mishnah to the shita of Tayich Zman kilifnei zman.